had to run out for a second, so I'm just going to start this a little bit and just say hello and hope everyone's doing fine. We've got 3 interesting questions today to go over on Layman's Philosophy, our Wednesday 11 a.m. show here, Japan time. I'll just give you the first one just to run it down, just so you can kind of mull it over before Dan comes back. And that is, what is the best path to find truth? Science, math, art, philosophy, or something else? Yeah, so just mull that one over for a couple of minutes. I think it's an interesting question. Dan found these questions online. I think there are about 200 questions, and we're attempting to go through them, finding some interesting ones to mull over, try to answer, and have discussions about. Now, in this one, it strikes me as to, what do we mean by truth? Yeah. Okay. So that's a good one, and I think we'll be able to have some good lengthy discussions about this. Okay. Do we mean truth as the all-knowing truth about the universe, or the meaning of man, or do we mean truth about our consciousness or our existence? Let's talk about it. And here we go. Dan, thanks for joining us.
I'm back. Yes, thank you,
Dan's
everyone.
back.
Everyone who's here. Yeah.
Hey,
Abyss. Yes,
how are you?
Let me send you an invite there. Okay, you've been invited, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. So. Okay.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah. All right.
And
so
yes.
This week's questions. Oh, you've already started.
I kind of gave them the first one. I read the first ones just so everyone could have a chance to mull it over a little bit, but there you have it on the screen. So excellent. Let's go.
Am I more a Dan or a Daniel? I often write Daniel, but people can call me Dan. People call me Dan. I don't really have a preference. I'm really comfortable with either one. So Dan is shorter. Actually,
yes, Charles, I know him as Dan.
Right. Yeah. So among my, native English speaking friends, Dan is great because it's nice and short and easy. But among non-native English speakers that have this vowels range that English does, then it becomes Don sometimes. Don, right? And that sounds too much like Don, like in Donald. And so then Daniel becomes clearer for me. I had a Mexican girl that I liked, and of course Spanish, the vowel sounds aren't as anyway. So the answer is either one's fine.
That was kind of a long-winded answer there, Dan.
Certainly was. That's why I realized that, and that's why I kind of like, okay, that's enough. Too much information.
But sometimes I call you Dano.
Right. Hawaii 5-0, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Cool. Oh, hey, Jeff, what do you think? Is my video any clearer, do you think?
It is a bit, actually. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I upgraded. I was using my. I'm sorry for you, the people that are here waiting for the philosophy to start, but just a little bit of stuff. So I upgraded my camera to the Logicool C930E, which is a 1080p webcam, plugs in USB, right?
Oh wow!
On Charles instead of the person. And I also, if this is noise. Sorry, I also upgraded my microphone.
Did you?
What? Yeah, this is my new microphone.
Is that USB plugged directly in? Yep. What kind is that?
It's a Blue Yeti X.
Okay, I've heard of those. Yes, yeah, excellent,
yeah.
Good.
So, Blue is, I guess, a subdivision of Logitech. Cool. And hi Lindsay, welcome. And so Blue is a subdivision of Logitech, and I think they make mostly microphones and so on, and Yeti is one of their better lines. And so I like it because it's nice and heavy, and you've got some simple settings. You got the gain control on the front and so on. So you've also got a mute button, so I can hit the mute button and shut off my microphone for a short period of time very easily. Okay. Yeah, it is a nice mic. I like it. I like it. Yeah. That's why I was asking. Yeah, Lindsay has a new microphone too, a pretty pink one, right? Oh, yeah. Lindsay's in central Pennsylvania. There you go.
Central PA. Okay, good. Yeah. I'm from Greensburg, if you know where that is. It's that's near Pittsburgh, about 40 miles outside of Pittsburgh. Great. Yeah. Wow. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, Abyss, you moved to Nashville from Pittsburgh too. I didn't know that. Wow. Amazing. Yeah, that's interesting. A couple people from my area of the world. That's great.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Pittsburgh. I spent a lot of time in Pittsburgh. A lot of time seeing the Pittsburgh Steelers and going to concerts at the Civic Arena. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Greensburg is southeast of Pittsburgh.
Hi, Share. Welcome.
Yeah. It's towards Ligonier and Latrobe, where they brew the Rolling Rock beer.
Rolling Rock.
I'm not surprised that you've never heard of it. It's very small. Very
I have
small.
heard of Rolling Rock. I have heard of Rolling
Sure,
Rock.
Rolling. It's pretty popular. I mean, around the world, you can get it. Penguins. Yep. I'm a Penguin fan, a diehard Penguin fan too. Charles, but more so a Steelers fan.
Can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yes, we can.
Great.
Cool. All right. So we've done our greetings here and so on. Oh, yeah. Okay, you're back again. Yeah, Abyss, you're cool. All right. So back to the question, I guess. What is the best path to truth? Science, math, art, philosophy, or something else? All right. Let somebody else take the lead on this one. What do you think?
Well, I just commented that what do we mean by truth, right? Is it the truth of the universe, the origin of the universe, the truth of existence, or truth of consciousness, truth of where we came from? Yeah, and I suppose we could answer that ourselves. Yeah. Just to follow that up, I just want to say I'm a science follower. I'm a science fan. I have scientists in my family, and I've studied science myself, and I teach English for science here in Japan. Actually, I'm a firm believer in the scientific process, right? So that's my answer. I think science can tell us a lot. Of course, math, art, and philosophy can too. I'm leaning towards the science area to find the most truth in things. What about you, Abyss? Or Dan?
Yeah, I'm gonna let Dan go first because mine is long-winded.
Okay. All right. Jeff alluded to, the difficulty I have with this question is, what is truth? What are we referring to there? I really believe that that we are part of a system, part of part of the universe, part of everything, and so we can't step out of that and look at things objectively. And if you can't look at things objectively, then what chance do you have of actually finding the truth? And so I'm questioning whether we actually could have any hope of ever finding what would be an objective truth. Now, if you're talking about truth, as it applies to us, and subjective truth is accepted, then maybe sociology would be better, because for those subjective truths, then knowing about our fellow human beings and how to better interact with them, I mean, that seems to be the truth that's most worth investigating. How to be a better world community, a community of humans on this planet, or a community of living organisms on this planet. So so in that case, yeah. So science would fit into that. I mean, the first step would kind of be, I think, like I said, sociology. Get the humans all on the same wavelength, so to speak, and then maybe expand beyond that to take in the rest of
and sociology. Sociology is, sorry to interrupt you, Dan. Sociology is a social science.
Right.
So there you go. Yeah. So I'm along that path too. Sure.
Cool.
And again, we have to determine, right, what do we mean by truth? Actually, right, sure.
Right. Okay, Charles, you can't join. No worries. Yeah.
Charles said we're not living in a simulation. I agree.
It bothers me greatly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I mean, it's an interesting theory. I mean, I actually kind of appreciate the fact that somebody brought that up, but I don't take it as, I don't think it seriously as, wow, we really could be. I mean, I guess it's within the realm of possibility, but
I think there are people out there though who do actually believe it, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, there are flat earthers out there too. What are you gonna do?
Right.
Well,
yeah.
The simulation theory is actually more grounded in scientific merit as opposed to the flat Earth understanding, because one of the hypotheses is that if you consider how granular the universe is and how the different different constants are applied, because like we have constants in the universe, and I think we talked about this before. So it's kind of rooted in that way, that with the fact that we have constants in the universe, and we have a universe which is more fine tuned to self sustain. So even though it's up to debate, like it's debatable at this point, I would say that it's more plausible than flat Earth, because we already know like what the Earth is not flat. Eratosthenes knew like the Earth was not flat. That was like around 2,400 years ago. So so yeah, I think it's. I feel like it's unfair to compare those two, to put it bluntly.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I was just saying that I don't believe the simulation theory. I mean, I see it as a possibility. I don't see it as a likelihood and so on. Although people use statistics, and again, you can use statistics to prove anything that you want to, basically. But I just meant to say that there are people that fully believe simulation theory, but that's not an argument for it, because people fully believe the flat Earth theory, and so what people believe doesn't really account for any justification of any given theory. That's all I meant by that. Not that they're equivalent in any way. Yeah.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So I guess like my version of like what's the best path to find the truth. It's again, I'm gonna refer to the granularity of your problem, right? Because if you want to find out the nitty gritty stuff of matter, of like the universe or something, you apply science, obviously, because that's your best empirical guess, and your estimation is actually rooted on um, your ability to reciprocate, or I mean, like replicate findings, and also it's going to be grounded upon like some mathematical facts or axioms. So in a way, a math also kind of comes into this, but there are certain aspects of math, for example, like topology, that seem to have no application of in real life, but in fact they do. And in fact, like most of the physics is actually rooted in in the mathematics of topology. If you heard like the universe is flat, is because it only means like it's topologically flat. It doesn't mean like the universe is mapped on a 2D sphere or 2D surface. It doesn't mean that. Again, when you're like, at least when you accomplish your PhD, right? somebody like finishes their PhD, they're granted the philosophy of something, right? So philosophy kind of kicks in as to one way of to trying to find the truth, and we already know that art is actually kind of uh, it's anthropocentric, but yet it's one way of expressing or finding out the truth. So I would say all of them have merit, but depends on how granular you look at it. Because for for the masses, I think they would say probably like science or math, because these are, like I said, empirical, and one is, math is actually like, sort of like axiomatic for the most part. But uh, again, it depends on, at least like from my perspective, it really depends on like how much you look at, like what kind of truth that you want to find. And I would assume that each of them to a varying degree can help you find the truth. So that's my answer.
Very
Great.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, great answer. Great answer. Just if I could take just 1 second, I watched this channel on YouTube called Closer to Truth. Actually, it's quite an interesting channel by a physicist. There was a video the other day, actually, on the 18th, by a philosopher, Gregory Benford. Are we living in a simulation? And this is his little blurb on this video. Could our entire universe have been created by super intelligent species, just like computer scientists write software to simulate chemical reactions or the weather? It may sound silly, but with the exponential increase in computing power, it could be conceivable. And if for humans, why not for others? If our universe were a simulation, how could we tell? Now, I thought
Right,
that was an
exactly.
interesting question. Yeah.
Mm.
Not that
But
I
also, I
believe.
mean, there is so there is a contradiction to be had, especially like if you approach this from a scientific point of view, that you're looking at an enormous amount of information. So the universe, even though we try, at least like we say that it's actually more of a vacuum with nothing in it, it's inundated with virtual particles that come in and out of existence. So computing or simulating those would take an enormous amount of computation. Plus, we need to account for information, because information has its own entropy. Like it can be, um, like you cannot have like a complete delivery of information without accounting for a substantial amount of noise. And if you want to simulate a universe, that you probably need a computer that's as big or even bigger than the universe. So those are like the valid criticisms to be had for the simulation idea.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, but yeah, I mean, philosophically, might it might sound plausible, but
mhm,
yeah, I mean, there are, it has opponents, it has supporters. It's really tough to say which is what.
mhm. Yeah.
Wait,
I think yeah, I think it's just, it would require way too much computing power, I think, yes. And I think, yeah, we can, yeah, we can take it a step further and say, yeah, I think that we can, it's impossible to tell. So that would lead us to know, right? We're not living in a simulation. Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
so
Oh, sorry, Ambis. Dozo.
Mm.
Or, I mean, go
no,
ahead.
I was actually trying to address Raj's question about the 256 quantum bits. Of course, you're talking about the
Hmm.
quantum computation aspect of it, but that's not simulation. Like, because if you're computing something, I mean, I think it's important to distinguish between the two. So if you're computing something, of course, like with 256, even like with 52 quantum qubits, like you can break essentially all encryption that can be conceived by man at this point. But would that be um, would that be something that you would call, at least like, would that be surmountable to simulation? Like that's difficult to say, because when you're talking about simulation, which means that you know think about this from like quantum level. So you have to simulate the wave function of virtually all particles in the universe. And like I said, there are virtual particles, being created right at this very moment. We don't even have any candidate for dark matter, and we already know that on a large scale that there's like an information paradox that goes on in black holes. So the amount of information is just too much to be simulated by, like entangled photons or electrons and a quantum qubits. So that's why I'm like I think like this is probably like not one way or a plausible way of explaining things. If that makes sense.
Yeah, nice. Interesting, right?
Sorry, I
Raj?
missed half of it because I was jumping in and it took a second there. But oh dear, I don't know why my camera's so high. Here we go.
Yep.
Maybe.
So you're
There we
welcome to weigh in on this first question, Raj. If you have some thoughts that you'd like to share, love to hear them.
Sure. I apologize if I missed the latter part of your explanation. So I happen to work with a gentleman who's in the quantum space. That's a friend of mine. And based on the people surrounding him that I've met that are also working in this space, from what I can relay from what they've told me, that as far as if and when we like right now, I think we're at 8 to 16 qubits, like actual qubits. Right now, the larger quantum processing machines are more quantum annealers than they are quantum computers. But yeah, I mean, I personally think that what I've even seen a quantum annealer do makes me believe that 256 qubit processor would be capable of the kind of simulation that you're suggesting, right? Just because you or I would probably have a difficult time interpreting that simulation, I don't think that that's necessarily not capable of doing such a thing. But you're getting back to your main question, which was what is the best path to find truth? I think it's the scientific method. I mean, at least for right now. I think that you can apply the scientific method to pretty much anything to try and test your hypothesis and see if you're right. Right? I mean, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about this like off like on a different broadcast, because we'll become too technical on the ability of
100%.
quantum qubits.
Yeah, that's why I tried not to get into like the hyperspheres and all that. Yeah,
that would be interesting though to discuss on some broadcast. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Shall we go to the second
I could
question,
potentially
Dan?
bring in some actual
yes,
experts.
Please.
Yeah,
Sorry.
well, yeah, which would be cool. It would be very interesting. But like this is layman's philosophy. So trying to make sure that it's accessible to everyone that cares to tune in.
But so yeah. Anyways, I think the scientific method is your best way to get to the truth. But I think some others might believe that following your gut maybe is the best way. I can imagine that some people would believe that. I just think that some people's guts are better than others in discerning what the truth is.
So one question I had, the scientific method, I too, believe in the scientific method and what it can reveal to us. But questions about. So, for example, what do we know, or what can we know? So, for example, you've heard conversations or seen presentations and so on about the speed of light. I'm sure the fact that we don't really know the speed of light. I mean, the speed of light is actually set as so many meters per second and so on. That it's defined as the speed of light. We can't actually measure the one-way speed of light. We can only measure the round trip, and there are whole explanations of why that is the case and so on. So these limitations that we have, I mean, so that's one thing. But then also, as I alluded to before, the fact that we're inside the system and everything we have is influenced by our environment, including our observations, that we can't be completely objective about these things. I'm sorry, So I mean, yeah. Although, like I said, I'm a believer in the scientific method, but how far can it take us? I mean, aren't we up against really hardware type limitations to a certain extent?
Interesting.
Very interesting. So if we go, sorry.
Well, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to kind of introduce the second question just due to time.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
But if you want to continue with this one, no problemo.
And we can go on, and then the kind of the after the main we can continue and cycle back to some of these ideas and so on. That would all be good. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the second question, see where it leads us. Is there inherent order in nature, or is it all chaos and chance?
Is there inherent order in nature, or is it all chaos and chance? I'm going to say that in its chaos, it becomes orderly, if you will, kind of. Yeah.
I'd second that, and I would put evidence of fractals being an example of ordered chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, yeah. Can you expand on that a little?
Fractals are seemingly ordered chaos, I guess. Like there's no order to them, but then a pattern does emerge as a fractal continues to like be drawn out, and then you can see even in that chaos there's still order to chaos. So I would say the further out you can get from something, the more apparent the order is. Like it's almost, I mean, it's like in quantum physics or anything else, like, or relativity, like the position of the observer can determine the nature of what you're seeing. And so I think that's maybe where I would go with that philosophical basis.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It seems to me that chaos is simply that the interpretation that we give to things that we have not yet found the order to. It may seem like chaos, but it's not, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Like a lighter might seem like magic to somebody from the Bronze Age, but to us, it's a very simple tool.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would also, I would agree with what most of you have said, but I would also try to add a little more point, because the inherent entropy of the universe is actually increasing. So I think it depends on like which time frame that you're referring to, because like Raj said, the Mandelbrot set, which is like the fractals, is uh, is essentially like a simple equation governing an entire spiral of what appear to be random and seemingly repeating patterns. And another example would be the Great Attractor, which I think was like a the Lawrence Strange Attractor that was I think was cited in one of the books about chaos. But yeah, so what I'm trying to say is that there are numerous things that kind of simulate chaos, and the best thing that we're trying to do right now is trying to come up with an empirical or heuristic solutions to those. But but again, to reiterate my point, I think it depends on like which reference that you're using, because in the earliest of time, the what you call chaos, or essentially the entropy of the universe, was uh, much more smaller than right now. So that by itself would probably let us know that the chaos nature, or like the disorder was pretty much low compared to now. So, and also like we have governing equations, so I don't know what that would tell you about the universe as well, because if you have a governing equation like Einstein's general relativity, or the Schrodinger's equation, which models the quantum mechanics, would that also mean that you know um, you can model the chaos, or can you actually say something about the order of the universe? So it's kind of like contradictory for me, but I would say like it depends on which time reference you have.
Can I ask a
Hmm.
question a bit?
Yep,
Go
go
for
ahead.
it.
So are you referring to then, um, like, oh, geez, I had it there for a second. I'm losing it. This thread, but like, oh dear, never mind. I had a thought and I couldn't hold on to it. Um, Never mind. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
No problem. If we just if we think about it on a daily life level, um, chaos into order, does it occur, or does it transpire, or is it obvious on a daily life scale, do you think? Like we have problems in life, but then eventually they come and they become more
Yeah, I
orderly.
would say, yeah, you could definitely go with things like, you get groceries from the store and they're piled into bags, and you bring them onto a counter, and they're not organized, and then from that chaos, you make order, you put it away, organized, in your pantry or whatever, and then
Mhm,
I think that there are little examples every day in our lives where we try to make order of chaos, um, and then somehow manage manage it. You know,
mhm,
sometimes it feels like you're balancing between the two, like between the chaos and order, and you're just walking that fine line, or at least my life seems like that sometimes.
mhm, yeah.
But
No, that was a good example, actually. Right? Yeah, about the groceries. Yeah. Hmm. And I think it shows up in, even going to school. We have some problems in school, perhaps, but then we graduate and we move on, right? Or some marriages don't last, right? We have a kind of a divorce, perhaps. It goes through a chaotic situation, and then in many cases it rights itself and becomes orderly again. Yeah. So yeah, I think it does show up on a daily scale. Fascinating.
Dan, you want to add something?
No, no,
I was
no.
just, oh, sorry.
Hmm. Yeah,
I was
like Charles, or sorry, Share just said, yeah, our life cycles are created by an order: child, teen, adult, old age. Sure, sure. Yeah, so I think
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
interesting to look at it. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, even I mean, look at how chaotic the creation of life is, right? Like, I mean, you know, a billion sperm, one gets into the ovum, then things start to replicate. It implants in the and like it's for me, it just seems like chaos to order again for the
Mhm.
creation of life. And I mean, you just see examples of that all the time.
Mhm.
And I mean, I know, like, we're heading towards entropy, but still interesting.
So, oh yeah. No, it's fascinating. I mean, and all our cells combine together in the perfect way, right? Mostly, right, to make humans who move on and create the same thing in offspring. It's fascinating. But how does it do
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's encoded in the gene, so
yeah,
Mhm.
I
but
mean,
I don't think it
there's
does though. I don't think that I
Mm.
don't like
wait, what?
it's not organized. It's organized chaos because it's remember. I mean, humanity is a result of trial and error, right? How many lineages died out or disappeared for hominids to end up ruling the roost, right? Like Neanderthals disappeared or were bred out of existence. Um, so I don't know. I don't know if it's organized like we because there was a lot of trial and error to get here, and I think yeah, just I don't
Yeah,
know if I would
true.
consider it
I mean,
ordered.
of course, I mean, any speciation is actually the epitome of like chaos because nature by itself is not selective. It's indiscriminate. So whatever survives actually makes it, and I think that's what happened for us um, like because like Neanderthals are not, they don't form groups like we do, and they're not, very defensive about like their territory. Like we probably like exterminated them. So did perhaps we did the same thing for Denisovans as well because we're the only ones that exist right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't see nature to be like you just said. Like I don't think nature would be um, discriminate as to which species lives or dies.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I don't think nature is. I think, well,
But I mean,
I guess
it's up
that's
to the
debatable.
species, however, to kind of evade or at least to adapt to drastic environmental changes, or if there's like a predation prey predator dynamics there, that it's up to the species to kind of adapt so that it can outlive other species and probably compete for resources.
So
Mm.
Shersher's asking, but are we the only ones that exist? And if you're talking about uh, types of humans, not exactly. Uh, Most modern humans, myself included, I can say I have like 3% Neanderthal DNA. Um,
If you're
uh,
like in the Asian
you know,
population, also that you can have some percentage of Denisovans, but those will be like
yeah.
Oceania. Oh, sorry, got tongue tied up there. So there will be like from Indonesia, some part of Australia as well. They have Denisovan genes.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
yeah, so
And
we're like a
also,
mixture.
as a key to evolution, even humans were still evolving. So, like a perfect example of this is, I think, in the 1920s or 1930s, they found about 10 to 15% of the population had a particular artery that didn't disappear in their forearms, and today's population is now 43% or 50%. um, and they believe that within the next 20 to 30 years, that will actually become the dominant anatomy in the forearm. So this is just like examples of evolution still occurring, even
Mhm.
if we're not aware of it.
Is it An artery? I thought it was a tendon. I think it's called palmaris longus, or is it like an artery? Not sure.
I think there's a. I think that it's an artery, but I might be wrong about that. But it's the fact of the matter is it's a structure in the forearm. That's the takeaway.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've heard of it too. I don't really recall which it is, but it's fascinating, right? That we can see that evidence now. Yeah.
I mean, it seems
Yeah.
to me that we want to make create this dichotomy. I feel an artificial dichotomy between humans and nature, but we're all just on the same spectrum. We're all just part of the same system, and of course we're evolving. Humans are continuing to evolve as just one part of this huge elaborate system, which again, going back to the order versus chaos thing, I am kind of, I guess, maybe the label would be determinist. I mean, I feel that the physical laws control, determine everything. It's all determined. The fact that we're having this conversation on HAPS right now was determined, simply because of the physical laws. Because of that everything that has happened, down to the subatomic level is all determined by these physical laws, and so it had to happen this way, and so it's all in that sense ordered. It's all determined by the physicality of nature, including us. So to me, yeah, it absolutely is all order.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I should probably mention this. Um, Mandelbrot, it was like the guy who was responsible for fractals. He actually believed that the turbulent flow is actually the most chaotic thing that we can ever like measure or at least model. He actually believed that the turbulent flow is actually some kind of a fractal,
Hmm.
and his last mission was actually to prove that and show that using mathematical equations.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know that.
Interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting stuff.
I think it's order. Okay.
I'd like to go on to maybe the third question. Sorry, I've got time commitments coming up here, and just so we can
Yeah, sure.
touch on all these, and then at a later date go back and circle around them again. But yeah, this is an interesting. Do you want to read it, Dan, or?
Okay. What in life is truly objective and not subjective? And my answer is very short. It's nothing. Nothing.
How about how
I'd
you
actually agree.
look to others? I mean, sorry, Abyss.
No, it was Raj was speaking.
Oh, Raj. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I would agree with Daniel that I cannot see a way that where anything is truly objective. I mean, everything has always got a hint of some kind of error to it. Otherwise, I just no. There's I don't see. I have to agree with him. I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I think there's always a little hint of us in everything, right? From our eyes, yeah. Although,
Yeah.
Charles had an interesting with death, but yeah,
Nothing sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm also on the board of like saying the objective is much of a consensus than a true to reality. It's just like something that we get close to asymptotically, but we don't really get there, and we just keep on trying. So for me, the especially like the governing laws of nature are pretty much approachable, but cannot be defined, and that depends on how it like depends on our consensus. And yeah. I'll leave it there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I believe, I mean, the reason I make that statement, is because obviously this question is being asked to humans. I mean, if it were possible to step outside the system, and again, I go back to that, that idea time and time again, but as long as we're part of the system within the system, it's all subjective. If, it were possible, to look at this question not from a human standpoint, but a totally objective standpoint, then there is, be they the laws, the laws of nature, physical laws, and so on. Those are objective. I mean, they work the way they work, regardless of how much or little we understand them, and so on. So, sorry.
Yeah, Dan, if you look over at share's comments, right? Science is objective. Yeah. It isn't influenced by outside interference, and math is also objective. It's kind of along the lines of what you were just saying.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I think they strive to be objective. Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
The science is objective, but our understanding of it is subjective. Right.
The science tries to be subjective. The fields. Yeah. But,
so here's the thing about mathematics. I guess, like I also said that in the comment, because this kind of goes into the anthropic principle, whether human beings are kind of like this. Does the universe exist because it has conscious observers as to how it's transpiring, right, as it goes by. But for mathematics, most of the things are abstract in a way, and whether to say that that's actually a man-made, or like it has subjectivity to it, or is it like completely objective, that's up to the interpreter, right? For example, to give you some clues, we live in a universe that's called Minkowski's space. So, but if you're talking about different topologies, you have de Sitter space, you have Hilbert space, which is the basic one. So if you consider those are mathematical abstractions, right? So, but they're purely based on equations, or based on some mathematical relations, topological mathematical relations. So would those exist if there was like no human intervention? That's something that we should ponder about, right? And so there's even like a debate, I guess, like I mentioned this like a while back, like there's a debate among mathematicians whether math is still like falls into the anthropic principle, or is it like completely independent and objective truth. So yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to say as to which category math falls in, but I'll have to entertain like all sides to make an informed decision.
I mean, to me, it's a straight line would exist, or the idea, the concept of straight would exist, whether there are humans to recognize that or not. So again, to me, it's these things, including these abstract mathematical concepts, all are exist. I don't even know what exist means, but they all are, and then we learn how to interpret them, or we apply an interpretation to them that fits with our physical world and our mental capabilities to comprehend them. But it's the mathematics, the numerals that we manipulate and so on, those are simply tools. But the concepts, to me, must necessarily be, I can't imagine it any other way.
I think it's I mean, I'm looking at the question and I'm reading it again, and I'm like, I think that one of the cruxes here is that it says what in life is truly objective. And then what do we mean by life? Do we mean the universe? Do we mean a human life? Like, how do we define life in this context? Because I feel like depending upon what you talk about, it changes things. Because if we talk about the universe, then that's bigger than us, whereas if you're talking about a human life, then that's a very different, I don't know, it just seems like a splash in the pan, if I were like I don't know, just something to think about, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another concept that I thought of is the Zeno's paradox. So um, if you guys know, like, you know the whole story, right? Because um, you can easily prove that mathematically, like whether like in a certain value when it's half quartered, and if you take 1/8, then you sum it all up ad infinitum, you get a value of 1. But theoretically, that really doesn't make sense because there are levels. Like you cannot go beyond the quantum level, right? I mean the quantum length. Like you cannot fold anything, and that's like incredibly small number. So much of it would be left to like mathematical abstraction. And to answer some of Cher's question, I think like she said, like a foot is like a what was it like? She said something about something that measures a foot is a foot, but it really doesn't. It really won't be if you're moving like close to the speed of light. Like the dimensions actually change as you're approaching the speed of light. So in a way, we're living like in a very confined environment. So I guess like to add to Raj's point that it depends on like which life you're referring to, because if it's a vicarious life that you're trying to infer to some other being that can perceive the speed of light much better than we can, then that will be a totally different game, right? So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, great stuff. Very, very good answers. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I think we do have to determine that, Raj, of what do we mean by life, yeah, too.
I mean, I'd like to think we're talking about the universe, and if I dig back, and if we're talking about the universe, then philosophically, like the faith of my parents, like in that philosophy, there's instances where God even says that there are millions of planets with life that exist, and that uh, we'd never live long enough to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, it just and that life is not unique to Earth, but just this life is unique to us. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
as to share one of Cher's comments, where she was like, "Everything is cyclical." I love the line by, I think, Carl Sagan, who said it first, was, "We are all stardust," and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lovely way to look at it.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a lovely way to look at it, isn't it? Actually, sure. We're all nothing but stardust. Yeah, great conversation today.
Actually,
Absolutely.
if Carl Sagan knew that it's a neutron star collision that's giving heavy metals, he would have probably rephrased his statement. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great discussion, everyone.
Yeah.
Great question, everyone.
Very,
Yeah.
very
I mean, it
interesting.
could keep going on for hours, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
I
Very true.
wish
Thank you,
I
Sean.
had hours today.
Yeah. And Abyss, your what was it? The nature you had guests
Yes.
on the other day.
Yeah, it's the human nature interaction, not human nature, but the human and
Human
nature interaction.
nature,
So
right? Yeah, I
it's
started to
past,
watch it, and then I
present.
realized it was. I'm sorry, I started to watch it, realized it was 2 hours, and didn't happen to have 2 hours, and I wanted to set aside a time to watch the whole thing. So yeah, I'm going to get back to that. I haven't seen it all yet, but it looks the start that I saw was really good.
So that's why I cautioned you to watch it sparingly, because I don't
Right.
think everybody can afford 2 hours. Best
Right.
I can do is probably download it to you, and you can probably play it on twice the speed or something if you can keep up.
Sounds like my business partner. Watches everything on 1.75 or 2x on YouTube.
Yeah,
Drives me crazy.
same. I also do that for podcasts as well.
Oh, wow.
I have done that.
You people are so
I do like
efficient.
1.5, but like 1.72, it's just like crazy.
Yeah, and 2 is almost impossible.
Well, I mean, I can understand when the speaking person is speaking like twice the speed. I can still understand.
You can
Yeah.
watch a lot doing that. That's for sure.
Yep.
Definitely. Okay, so yeah, thanks again to everyone. Thanks for those of you that came up and joined us. Share tried. We were hoping you'd make it, but yeah, use a different device next time, and you're very welcome to join in on camera or by voice, however you like. We do this at this time every week. Jeff and I are trying to keep a regular schedule here, so you know where and when to find us. Abyss has been our guest a few times. Raj now has joined in. Very happy to add to the crew here. Just every additional soul in the conversation makes it better. So very much appreciated.
Yeah, last week I think it was Daryl too, right?
Yeah, that's right. Daryl was here last time.
That's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
great.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for the award, Mercy. Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay. All right. So thanks again to everyone, audience and participants, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Excellent. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.